think we can get started. Okay, officially, everybody, welcome. My name is Rachel McIntosh, and I am a fintech journalist and podcast host at Finance Magnates. I'm so glad to have you here for today's webinar with FXBlue. I'm going to be moderating, this discussion. I'm so excited to have here with me today two fantastic professionals in the Forex industry, John Morris and Jonathan Collins, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit more thoroughly in just a moment, but before then, let's get through a few housekeeping matters. So our discussion today is going to last between 35 and 45 minutes. And after that, the floor will be open for questions. So we would love to hear from you at any point during today's presentation. If you have a question or a comment for our guests at any point, please feel free to send it in through the chat. And if we don't get to your question or comment today, we'll do our best to follow up with you after today's session has concluded. And quickly, just for your information, this webinar will be available on demand after today's live session. So if you miss anything, don't worry at all. We'll be sending out this recording along with some other information about other upcoming webinars in the future. Last but not least, we'd love for each and every one of you to share today's webinar throughout your social media channels. Sharing is caring, as you know, and it's great to let people know what you're up to. So without any further ado, let's get this conversation rolling. So first of all, I'll extend a warm welcome to both of you. And John, can you tell us a bit about yourself and the work that you do? What is FXBlue?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel, and welcome everybody. Jonathan and I are the two founders of FXBlue. We're based in London. We're a fintech business, and we provide services to brokers in about 20 countries and have been doing that since 2010. And before I introduce Jonathan, I thought I'd give you a very, very quick overview of the things that we do. There's two sides to our business, all of it fintech, but apart from supplying banks and brokers, we also have a retail user base who use a lot of free tools in about 120 countries. So just going very briefly through the business to give you an overview. We're best known perhaps for our trading applications that sit in MT4 and MT5. We've developed these over the last 11 years. They come in 24 languages and they're used extensively by brokers in multiple countries. We also do very detailed spread analytics and different forms of analytics that provide deep information to brokers about spreads and also to traders. We do a very wide range of web widgets, everything from spreads to pricing to sentiment. We have a pretty sophisticated MT integration suite, which in effect allows you to connect your trade servers to the CRM, to the website, and to the back office, and that makes multiple things possible. This is an example of a traders room application. So this allows live access to trade data to traders. It comes with insights, detailed analytics, downloadable statements. We have built our own web applications for charting. These are fully featured charting applications used by multiple brokers, especially where they want to display their own pricing rather than generic pricing. So that's a very brief summary of the B2B side of our business. And then on the retail side, this is, again, it's a fintech site, although it's a retail site. Everything on here is free to traders. Originally, traders came here for the ability to get detailed trade analytics. They can automatically upload their MT4 and MT5 trade data. We also offer extensive range of free software. So trading simulators, trade copiers. We've probably got the most popular trade copier and trade mirror in the market. We have many tens of thousands of those operating at any time. And the way that we monetize those is that when traders download the software, we ask for a verified mobile number, a verified email, and for GDPR purposes, consent to transfer that data to a named broker. So in other words, 100% target market verified leads coming from about 120 countries around the world. We offer a lot of free market data to traders, currency strength particularly popular, trader sentiment, our own sentiment from this retail site. And then finally, we have a broker listing. The really interesting thing here, apart from the ability to self-publish articles, is that we pick the best articles each week, and they go to between 50 and 60,000 MT4 and MT5 traders in a weekly newsletter, which also includes a lot of technical data about the market. So that's a very brief overview of our business. I'm now going to hand over to Jonathan, who is the chief architect and designer of all of our software, including the web and mobile platform that we're going to focus on today. So Jonathan, over to you.
Thank you very much. I suppose I'll start briefly with why are we here? Why have we built Figaro, the web and mobile platform? In our minds, it works like this. The past 15 years and more, platforms such as MT4, MT5, CTrader, they've been hugely popular on the desktop. Key reason for that popularity is those desktop platforms, they're configurable, they're extensible. You can have custom indicators for charts, you can have algos, you can have scripts. But the typical web and mobile platform has none of these things. There's an assumption in that traders will do their serious trading from their laptop or desktop, and their phone or tablet is some kind of toy device which they just use from time to time. And we think that thinking is out of date. There's an ever-increasing number of people for whom phone or tablet is their main trading device, or even their only device. And just because someone's using a phone or tablet, it doesn't mean they want no functionality. They may use fewer configuration options, but they don't want none. You know, they may only use 3 custom indicators rather than 20, but they don't want 0. And basically, Figaro is the platform for this generation of traders. It's easy to use, but it's got all the flexibility and extensibility of a desktop platform, custom indicators, algos, scripts, completely configurable. And of course, it's got all the features which we provide in the desktop tools which John's referred to, and which I know that many of the attendees today are familiar with. And it's got everything which people have come to expect from FXBlue: build quality, support, easy white labeling, flexibility. Yeah, that's the headline of what we're looking at today.
So fabulous, Jonathan. I'd love to hear more about how you can put your customer onboarding and journey inside the web and mobile app.
Shall I just pitch straight into a demo? It's probably easiest to do it that way, if that's all right.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. In front of a live studio audience. John, I need you to stop sharing, please. Thank you. Okay. Right, okay, let's just, sanity check. Everyone can see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I will kill my video, save my bandwidth, and we're away. Let me just confirm the shape of what we're looking at here. It is a web and mobile trading front end, which we've integrated with a number of trading backends with MT4 and with MT5, with proprietary APIs of forex.com and FXCM. We can integrate with anything which has got a web compatible API, such as all the crypto exchanges, and we're talking to all sorts of other people who have margin engines or trading venues and who want to have Figaro as a front end onto that. So I mean, the point here is that Figaro it's completely agnostic about what it connects to. It's not tied to any particular execution. For example, you can have clients on MT4, you can move their accounts to MT5 or somewhere else. And if the clients are trading through Figaro, potentially nothing changes as far as they're concerned. You can move the client's account to something which has better conditions or where your costs are lower. And the trading experience of the client potentially remains completely unaffected because Figaro can connect to both back ends and people just can log in seamlessly to either. And that also means, by the way, that if you offer multi-asset, Figaro is automatically a multi-asset platform. For example, if you've got MT5 and you've got single stock equities and crypto available in MT5, then those assets will be implicitly automatically available in Figaro. Anyway, let us log in. Now, if I were doing a sales presentation for somebody, I would normally start by saying, do you prefer dark or light? I'm not going to start this webinar with a vote, so I'm going to proceed with dark themes. I'm told the dark one's better on recordings. Please just take it as read that if you want to change the colors or if you want to have your corporate branding in here, then of course you can do that. And trust me on this, we'll come back to some fairly amazing white labeling opportunities a little later. Now, I'm very deliberately not going to do a normal software demo here because that's sort of not the point. I could talk for hours about the unique charting features, about the keyboard trading for pro traders, about quickly closing all your trades which are 50 pips in profit, but that's not what I'm going to do, or at least not until later. There are 4 key things which makes Figaro distinctive, and that's what I want to start with. And I'm afraid I'm going to keep saying 4 key things until people get very sick of it. The first is that there are lots and lots and lots of different tools available within the platform. I know that many people watching this are customers of MT4 and MT5 desktop suite, which John mentioned earlier, and Figaro has all the tools from that. For example, it has correlation matrix. It has, for example, trader sentiment. It even has exactly the same Excel integration which we provide on the desktop and which is very, very popular with high net worth traders. But it's got many other things as well which aren't in our desktop suite. I mean, for example, there is currency strength, there are market ranges, there's things like market depth, there's client order book, and there are all sorts of market information tools and also all sorts of trading tools such as order grids, order batches, things like market ladders as well. Now, we know these things are popular because we've been providing them on the desktop for 10 plus years. And the point is that traders don't suddenly stop wanting them just because they're on their phone or their tablet rather than their laptop. So on the one hand, there's the typical web and mobile platform, which is just chart, quote board, deal ticket, trade list, maybe a very nice chart or a very nice quote board. That's typically all there is. And then there's Figaro, where there's this huge range of built-in content for people to choose from based on what type of trader they are and what they're interested in. So, I mean, just to recap, and I did warn you, I keep saying this, key point 1 out of 4, huge range of built-in content for people to choose from, over 50 different widgets. Part 2 is that obviously no sane person is going to use all those tools. Our experience on the desktop is the average person will use between 3 and 10 of them, but it's a different 3 or 10 with each person depending on what type of trader they are, what their interests are. So kind of key point 2 is that the trader can build their own platform based on what it is they're interested in seeing. There can be all sorts of things built into the platform by default, and I'll come back to this shortly, but either trader can say, well, that's great, but I want, for example, a page of my own. I want that layout there. And for example, I want a chart there, I want a quote board there, and I want, for example, an economic calendar there. And I can shuffle these all around. Before I forget, this is a tiny bit of a sidebar. I can take anything in Figaro and I can, for example, make it full screen. Or I can pop it out into a new browser window. And so it's a multi, despite being web-based, it's also a multi-monitor platform. If I've got multiple monitors, I can put different things on different monitors and use all my screens just like I'm used to with desktop platforms. Anyway, back to the main thrust. Trader can basically build their own platform and they can have as many of these pages as they want. I'll do another example, and this time I will link the market selections together. I will have that layout there, and I will put, again, chart there. I will have our mini charts in here. I will have, for example, a market overview in there, and I will have a trade list in there. Now, I chose to link the market selection together, and so this kind of acts as a dashboard. So, for example, if I click on cable here, that changes everything else. Or, for example, if I change to dollar yen down here, then again, everything else updates to reflect it. And maybe there are lots, incidentally, there are lots of other ways in this platform of linking things together so that, for example, chart symbols change or chart timeframes change, and time permitting, I maybe come to some of those later on. But key point 2 here is that it is a fully configurable platform. It's build your own platform based on what you, the trader, are interested in seeing, and that can be as simple or as complex as you want. Now, there is a second half to all of this. The fact that the trader can reconfigure the platform means that it's easy for us to do white labels for a broker client. Just like the trader does, you can say to us, we want this layout by default, we want you to remove these widgets and put in those ones, or even, we want a really, really simple cut down platform for the newbie, or you could have a choice of layouts. You could have one for the newbie, one for pro, and an option for switching between them. In addition, the fact that it's a web-based platform means that we can take any web-based content, put it into here, and we've got a couple of simple examples of that. We have, for example, a list of webinars, broker's webinar page, and we also have, for example, link to a client portal. And that's just a very simple demonstration of the fact that you can do client onboarding and funding inside the platform. And as we'll see later, it's possible to go far further than this and to build whole new content and integration for the platform. And another simple example would be, we have a broker client recently who asked us to add a big open a live account button here for people when they're logged into demo. So recapping what we've been so far, key point 1, huge range of tools built into the platform. Key point 2, ability to completely reconfigure it, whether that's the trader doing it themselves, building their own platform, or whether it's us doing some completely reconfigured white label for you as a brokerage. And so we move on to third key point. Third key point is extensibility, custom indicators, algos, scripts. To start with, if I go to a chart, I can have custom indicators. And these have got full access to all the usual browser features. They can go away and collect remote data over the internet. They can have timers, they can import external code, so on and so forth. Now, by the way, if you think that traders don't want custom indicators just because they're in a web browser or just because they're using a phone, then with respect, I think you're wrong. And by the way, TradingView think you're wrong as well. And there's barely a copy of MT4 and MT5 desktop which doesn't have custom indicators installed in it. And that demand, that thing that traders demonstrably want, it's not going to go away just because people are trading from their phone or tablet. But the scripting in here goes far, far beyond chart indicators. I need to talk briefly about what a software developer is. When I say developer, I'm not referring just to large professional software development companies. I'm also talking about all the amateurs writing code in their bedrooms, and it's those amateurs who built 99% of all the content ever for platforms such as MT4 and MT5. Now, Figaro has scripting which is usable by that 99% of amateurs, not just professional software developer firms. Now, it's possible for developers, and again, I'm using that term really, really broadly, to go far beyond what they do in MT4 and MT5 and build whole new widgets to the software, and those can do anything built-in widgets do, bring whole new data and content. But this is not a technical presentation, and it is very hard to illustrate the developer features for a non-technical audience, so I'm going to look at something slightly different. What we've done is to take the same really powerful scripting which is available to developers and to make it useful for normal human beings as well. For example, let's say I am a normal trader and I want to automate something. I can open up the scripting and the software will write scripts for me for common actions. For example, I can say that I want a script for a trading action, so I will get it to go long 0.5 euro dollar with a stop loss at 30 pips and a take profit at 40. Now, the software's written that script for me. I don't need to understand it. I'm not a developer, I'm just a trader, but I can now do a number of things with it. For example, I can save it, give it an icon. And what I've now got is my own bespoke one-click icon on the software's banner, and whenever I click on that, that's going to place my preferred trade. I'll just do that again. There we go. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. One option among many. I'll do another quick example. I can have, for example, a script which changes the market selection of the software. I will get it to switch to, for example, cable. Again, I don't need to understand this script. Again, I can just save it, give it an icon. And now, whenever I press this, it changes whatever I'm looking at to cable. And I can also do that with the more complex page I created earlier. So for example, I can go to that, and when I press my cable button, everything on there changes to cable. And obviously I could have as many of these as I wanted. If there are kind of 5 markets which I regularly trade, if I wanted to, I could have 5 quick buttons for changing whatever I'm looking at to that particular market. And you can also incidentally do that with things like chart timeframes as well as chart instruments. And just for the record, all this works completely identically on mobile as well, and we'll see that later. Now, I'm going to do one more. I'm actually going to do a little bit of programming this time, albeit I'm not going to do it from scratch. So let me create a script. I will quickly, to save actually typing it in live, grab one I created earlier. Not as the case may be. Now, when I do this particular example for brokers, they tend to think I've gone completely insane. Why would anyone do this, they ask? Well, the answer is you wouldn't ask the question if you'd ever been on a trading forum, because what I'm about to do, it's a very common request for every trading platform that's ever been created, no matter how weird you might think it is. Again, I'm going to save this. I will give it an icon. Give it that one there. I'm going to be kind of curious to look at the chat later and to know how many people have got any idea what's about to happen. I set my script running. What I've got here is a slideshow. It's automatically flicking between different charts. Well, I've set it to every 2 seconds, which is a little unrealistic. You get the general idea. But incidentally, if you think there aren't a large number of people who want this, go and spend some time on some trading forums. It is spooky. But I mean, the point is not obviously this specific example, which I'll now terminate. It's the fact that there's this really powerful scripting environment for developers, which we've also made available to normal traders as a way of speeding up, simplifying, automating common actions within the platform, and not just trading activity itself, but also doing things within the platform, such as changing market selection or opening particular widgets, such as the economic calendar. So, again, I warned you, I keep saying this, we've covered 3 key points so far. Point 1 is huge built-in range of content within the platform, including that new script I just created. Point 2 is the ability to completely reconfigure the platform, whether that's a trader doing it for themselves or us doing it for you, the brokerage, based on what it is you think your clients need or want to see. And then point 3 is extensibility. People of all different kinds building whole new things to the platform which don't currently exist. Part 4, last of kind of the big things I want to talk about, is social. And it's deliberately very open-ended social. What I'm about to do is most relevant with charts, but it also applies to many other areas of the software's configuration. Scripts, templates, whole pages of setup. I can add some things to the chart. For example, I will put in moving average. I will draw a trend line. Like that. And let us make it slightly prettier. Let's have a row of gold stars. Move it about a bit. I can pre-populate it with, for example, a suggested trade, such as going long 0.1 with a stop loss of 50 pips. And what I can now do is I can take this chart with all its settings and its suggested trade, and I can download it. And what I've now got is a file which I can send out by email or by Telegram or by WhatsApp, or I could post it on a web page, or if you, the brokerage, run some sort of ideas or signal center, we can integrate with that and people can post their charts inside that walled garden of yours. And anyone who's got this file via whatever route can then upload it into their own copy of Figaro, and they see exactly what I see, all the indicators, all the drawings, pre-suggested trade, and so forth. And incidentally, this is even more slick in the mobile app, because the mobile app can integrate with the phone's notification center, and you can send a chart, for example, to someone through Telegram just with a couple of taps. Now, there are obviously many possible uses for this, but a common one, very common one, particularly if we're talking to brokerages, is market analysts. And many brokers run webinars where an analyst talks through possible trading opportunities. With Figaro, rather than just having people sitting in their chairs, frankly, like you are now watching a video, analysts can publish the chart they're working on, and people can take that actual chart, they can upload it into their own copy of the platform, and rather than just looking at something passively, they can get exactly what the analyst is looking at, lay their own hands on it, and it's a whole lot more engaging. And that, of course, operates in many different ways as well. If I just personally as a trader have some piece of technical analysis which I think is really interesting, or I've got some layout in the software, such as the ones we were looking at earlier, which I think is really great for trading, and I just want to send it to a friend, I can go right ahead and do that. Now, this I swear is the last time I'm going to say key points. I just want to recap on where we've been so far. There are these four broad things. We've not even started really talking about functionality yet. There are these four broad things which make Figaro different. There's the huge range of built-in content. There's the ability to completely reconfigure the platform, including things like putting client onboarding inside here. There's the huge extensibility via scripting, and then there's the social ability to share all kinds of content with other people. Now, time permitting, and I'm very conscious of time, I am now going to move on briefly to something more like a traditional software demo. It is a huge platform. I mean, as you can see, I can't look at everything. What I'm going to do is look at a very small number of selected highlights. I'm not trying to say here are all the features of Figaro. I'm just trying to give you a flavor of what exists for different types of traders, whether it's newbies, pros, high frequency traders, swing traders, whatever it may be. Close this off to clean it up. I mean, starting with the charting, I'm not going to talk about 100+ built-in indicators or 50+ built-in drawing tools. We've already seen some of the features, such as doing trend lines of pretty gold stars and things like that. What I will mention is the fact that obviously we have all sorts of different chart styles, including things which aren't based on linear time, such as Renko and Kagi. We can multiply prices. We can invert prices. You'd be amazed how common that one is. And also change chart time zone. So you're not fixed, you're not limited to a particular server time zone. If I want my local time, or if, for example, I want to see a chart based on New York time, I can totally do that. And you can have what people variously refer to as comparison charts or overlays. For example, if I want to see euro dollar alongside dollar yen, I can add that in. And incidentally, as is very frequently the case in Figaro, there are lots of different ways of doing things depending on whatever the trader finds most convenient. I mean, taking another example of what's fundamentally the same phenomenon, I can say, right, I want a little mini chart over in the top right here. Now, that was about 3% of the charting. I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to give you a flavor of the depth of what exists rather than attempt to show everything. I mean, similarly, on the whistle-stop tour of the software, I want a quick look at the features of its quote board. I will switch to the quote board, which obviously we had briefly in front of us earlier. Now, many obvious things I can do here. I mean, it's showing me, incidentally, not just prices, but also my open trades in every particular market. I can quickly load in different asset categories. So, for example, FX miners. Traders can create their own watch lists. So, if I regularly trade euro, dollar, gold, oil, I can create a watch list which just contains those markets and switch quickly to that. And depending on what I prefer, I can either have a grid view like this, or instead I can choose to display the markets as a selection of deal tickets and quickly trade from there. And it's all throughout the platform, in all the various different widgets, there's this kind of flexibility for different trader preferences. If we go back to the grid view, and this is particularly interesting because, nice, simple, easy to use, but for the pro trader, there's some very powerful features available under the hood here. For example, I can turn on filtering, and then I can do a number of things. I could say, for example, show me everything where the spread is at a particular level, such as, for example, below 2 pips. Or I can say, show me all my trades where, for example, I'm in loss by more than $2. And then I can very quickly carry out actions on that. So for example, I can say on just these markets which meet my selection of being in loss by more than $2, I want to, for example, quickly close out all the trades in those markets, or hedge my position, or reverse my position. And just as a kind of final thing, a demonstration of the power underlying all of this, I can also set up one-click and keyboard trading. First thing I can do is I can set up a template. So for example, going long 0.1, stop loss at 20 pips. If you look carefully here, you'll see that the background of the bid and ask prices has gone red. That's indicating to me that if I click on them, because I've defined a template, the software will then carry out an action without any further confirmation. So if I click on Eurodollar and ask now, it'll go long 0.1, stop loss at 20 pips. And for traders who want to get in and out of the market really quickly, I can go a stage further and, for example, turn on keyboard trading. Now, obviously on this webinar, you're not actually able to see what I'm doing, you're only able to see the effects, but I can quickly trade, and I'm just trading here ultra fast through my keyboard. You can see everything changing as I'm pressing keys. That's the limit of what you'll be able to see. What I'm trying to illustrate here is not specific features. I'm just trying to show that while this is an easy to use configurable platform, which somebody who just wants something simple can cut down to absolute basics. I mean, despite the fact that it's web and mobile, it is absolutely not compromising on the features for the sophisticated trader. And similarly, if we just skip very briefly to the software's list of trades, and there are all very similar features in here. I can, for example, quickly change stop loss on a particular trade. I can also type directly into the grid. So for example, I can say, right, put the stop loss at 0.92. There are all sorts of ways of doing things depending on what traders find most convenient. And just like we saw on the quote board, I can, for example, go, right, filter this, show me everything where I am more than 1 pip in profit, and then I can automatically close those trades or set stop loss on them or do whatever it is I want. But I mean, I've concentrated deliberately for the last 3 or 4 minutes on features for the pro trader. It also works the other way around. If I want a simplified view, then for example, I can take this and instead of displaying a grid, I can instead display a card view. Now I've still got access to, full list of actions on each trade, but I've got what many newbie traders, it's going to be a simplified view. All I've got is, what's the trade, what's the profit, and here's a big close button to close it out. It's and this is really the heartbeat of Figaro. It's all about this level of configurability and this level of choice. Looking at time, I'm going to do one more very brief example. I will pull up, and John's actually showed this already briefly in a different context. I will pull up the software's account history. I have here very comprehensive grid of all the transactions ever, which I can filter and I can sort and I can do all sorts of things on it. But as we sort of looked at earlier, it's also giving me insights into my trading activity. Now, this is a demo account, so the figures aren't terribly meaningful, but it's telling me, for example, I'm relatively good at trading Swissy and I'm absolutely shocking at trading the Australian dollar. It's giving me all sorts of statistical insights into my trading, and I can add further bespoke charts. And it's also giving me configurable statements where I can set the time zone, download it to Excel, do all the sorts of things which traders typically want to do to keep on track at top of their trading activity. Now, kind of finally, before we go to Q&A, what I obviously need to do in this presentation is to talk a little about mobile, which I can simulate using the browser's developers tools, which I will pull up briefly. Right, good. As you can see, I mean, everything in here nicely resizes itself to the smaller screen. Kill off that chart. Back to the quotes. Yeah, but it's still fundamentally the same platform. You're not making people learn 2 different platforms, one for web, one for mobile. If I'm on a small screen, then I probably, for example, want to view the quote board as dual tickets rather than grid. I probably want to, for example, view the trade list in card view rather than grid view, but the platform doesn't make me. If on mobile I do actually want that full grid view with all its sorting and filtering, then I can have it if I want. The software is not making me behave in some limited cut down way just because I'm on mobile. And obviously all the features such as the scripting icons, they remain available and I can continue to use them despite the fact I'm on my mobile phone. Now, there are, and this, you're getting a little technical here, there are in fact two separate things. There is the web version of the platform, which is what we look at now at the moment, which is fully responsive on mobile. And then separate and additional to that, we have iOS and Android apps, and you can find examples of those in the Apple and Google stores right now. And there are links to them from the Figaro page on our website. I'm not going to go into the technical detail of how these things are packaged up for deployment to the phone, but it's very important that the web platform and the mobile platform, the mobile apps, they're fundamentally the same thing, because that means that all the features work on both platforms. Custom indicators work on both platforms, scripts work on both platforms. Any new widgets to the software which we build or which you build or which third-party developers build, those all automatically work on both web and mobile app as well. Right, we've still got a bit of time for Q&A, so I shall stop at that point. Like I said at the beginning, this very deliberately hasn't been a normal software demo. I've only shown you sort of 7 or 8 actual features out of thousands in the platform. And the bigger point is not necessarily all the individual things which the platform does, but how flexible it is. And it's flexible for your traders and flexible for you as a brokerage. Anyway, thank you very much. I shall stop sharing and go back to Q&A.
Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. That was absolutely fabulous. And what I love to see is just like how lightweight and yet how flexible, how many features there are for Figaro. It's really, truly remarkable.
Thank you very much. Let me start my video again so we can say hi. Ooh.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, so first of all, I'd just like to know for myself, can you tell me a little bit about the development process behind this product?
Yeah, there are many different answers to that. I mean, as John said, we've been working in this industry for over 10 years, and the amount of time we've literally spent on the platform is not necessarily indicative of the amount of thought and knowing what traders want, which has gone. So yeah, it's been a big piece of development, but it's fundamentally informed by everything else we've done and what we know is successful and what we know that traders in every country all around the world want to see.
Right, and it is, sometimes just those small things like the slideshow option that you showed, for example.
I mean, as I said in the course of the presentation, most people when I do that think I'm barking mad, but trust me, there is no trading platform ever made for which that has not been requested.
Absolutely. So what kind of support do you offer clients once they purchase Figaro?
It's as many people on the webinar will be used to, and I'll let John talk about this more if he wants to. Yeah, everything gets branded in the broker's name. We offer, we have our own retail website, but all our B2B offerings are branded in the broker's name rather than our name. And brokers, historically with our desktop suite, they've given all sorts of exciting names of their own to that. And so the way that then necessarily works is broker provides first line support. We do a lot of train the trainer on what are the features, how to sell it to traders, how to get traders to benefit from it, and we then sit in the background providing second line support.
I see. John, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I think we've learned over the years that the time that we spent creating a solid architecture and strong code yields massive dividends for both our customers because they get far less support inquiries, and also for us, of course. And on any given day, we have literally tens of thousands of pieces of software in the market, and we get very, very few second line support calls.
We haven't had one in February, I can say that in all honesty, not a single one.
Yeah, but we've learned that over the years, and that's really down to spending more time and money on development and less time on support. And that's really how we work.
Wow, okay. Very
and I would say that's our reputation in the market, really. One thing, Jonathan, you didn't mention was the ability to put...
There are about 47 things I didn't mention. Yeah, some of them deliberately. There are doubtless many I've forgotten. You will now remember.
Oh, right, okay. Well, the ability to put other things into the platform and the development API.
Well, I mean, we sort of looked at that, because when I was looking at when I was doing all the automation for traders, that's great. Traders can do all sorts of customization, but the point is very difficult to bring across for a non-technical audience is, while that's great, and I as a trader can kind of make this platform my own and have the button which does something weird and wacky, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the waterline, it's exactly the same thing, but underneath the water, there's all this ability for developers, and again, I repeat the thing from the presentation about developers is a very broad category of people, including guys, and it is usually guys in their underpants in their bedroom. They can.
You're giving away your secrets now.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Yes. They can. Yes, you can build whole new blocks of content for the software, and those new blocks of content can do anything which the built-in bits do and more. So if you want your own, let's take a really simple example. Let's say you want some great big panic button which closes all your trades, and you literally want it to look like a great big panic button 200 pixels wide, which you press. You can totally do that in about 3 lines of code.
But I think also the other important thing is that our broker customers can develop whole pieces of code for the software.
Yeah, we had a very interesting one actually in the last week or so, where if you can just kind of picture a 3-pane layout, there is a video top left. There's a list of trade ideas. So, they have a market analyst. He produces, and obviously you have to be very careful with compliance here. He produces a list of trade suggestions. And then on the right, there's a chart. And as the video is talking, and this guy's, talking through his trade ideas, the chart automatically updates to reflect what he's talking about. And again, that kind of stuff. So that they're not merely putting a custom signal service into Figaro. There's also a level of interaction which is available. It's not just playing a video, it's much more engaging on that, and that sort of thing. It's terribly simple to do.
I think the important point here is that the big decision for brokers is, should they develop their own web and mobile application, which is a massive undertaking. And there's a graveyard of applications that didn't quite make it. I think what we've brought to the market is a pretty comprehensive environment, but it also allows brokers who have their own aspirations to develop into the platform. And obviously the broker would own that code. So it's a kind of hybrid situation where you don't have to go and start from scratch and spend X million in 3 years and hope that it works. This offers brokers the opportunity to a halfway house, where you've got a comprehensive web and mobile platform and you can develop into it. And I think that's a very important point of flexibility. Associated with that is the fact that you can put the entire customer journey into the platform. So sign on, KYC, payments, webinars, third-party applications, and of course, all the trading functionality that Jonathan has described. So that's a very important point as well.
Yeah. I know that John and I differ slightly on this, but if you're a brokerage, and I know there are many who are thinking about building your own platform, and if that platform is just chart, deal ticket, trade list, quote board, then okay, it's got your logo on it, but where is the value? Where is the ROI?
Right. So a couple quick questions here that I think are sort of specific to a few features that you displayed earlier, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Is it possible to integrate multiple accounts into a single portfolio?
In the sense of, can you log in and trade multiple accounts? We are thinking about it. At the moment, no. What you can do is very quickly switch between accounts. We've not yet done the ability to have, I log in once and I can see trades from multiple accounts. There's no big bar on that. The limitation, it's really how massively confusing the user interface gets and the potential to blow your own foot off by placing a trade on the wrong account.
Right.
So it's not a major extension to what we have at the moment, but again, I mean, our typical experience, because, for example, MT4 and MT5 work this way, and traders are used to working this way, is you do one of two things. Either you have two windows open, one for each account, or you switch between accounts. And the kind of multi-account view, it's never really taken off, partly because it just makes everything such a drag. Every time you fill in a deal ticket, you need to confirm which account you want to use, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not ruling it out if a broker says to us, we really, really, really need this, but it's not something we have at the moment.
I see. And then a couple questions about sort of specifics when it comes to copy trading. So, for example, could a trader show their trading list and hide their certain parts of their performance and only show their statistics, for example?
I mean, this kind of overlaps on the area of our FXBlue.com retail site, which is a venue where people can upload their trading history. And yeah, I mean that has features for doing exactly that. If you don't want to show your trade list, you don't have to show your trade list. You want to hide your open trades, you can hide your open trades. Sure.
And then a question about pricing. Where can our audience members find out more information about pricing?
Well, we can communicate that separately, but the big picture about pricing works as follows: that we've tried to simplify things as much as possible. So we don't charge for demo accounts at all. So there's unlimited demo accounts. Live accounts, which means active live accounts, ones that are used rather than ones that are just registered as live, are charged on a per seat basis. So there's no dollars per million. There's a per seat charge which decreases as the number of users increase. And setup fees reflect whatever it is that a broker requires. But typically we keep those relatively low. And it really is a question of how much bespoke work. And also an important point is that Jonathan's mentioned responsive mobile apps. We do have an iOS and Android version, which can be seen on and downloaded from our website directly from the Figaro page. Obviously for brokers, that's something they have to manage themselves because of the way that iOS and Android work. And there would be more time and cost involved in that, but we can quote that.
Sorry, I'm going to have to run something up the technical flagpole. I mean, just to be absolutely precise about this, the mechanism is for a brokerage to have something in their own name in the Apple App Store or the Google App Store. You, the broker, need to open your own Apple and Google developer accounts. There is no way around that. We cannot do that for you. You then give us access to those accounts and we upload the white label version of Figaro into your account for submission to Apple and Google. But yeah, as the more important bit is the one John's already said, which is, that bit is unavoidably a bit of a drag. It's not something which we can do totally on your behalf. You have to be involved. Yeah.
So the bottom line message about pricing is that it's simple. And as with all our pricing, I mean, we've got customers from 11 years ago that are still with us, and that tends to be how we price, to keep people for the long term and provide them a service that works and doesn't require a lot of support.
Wonderful. So to put a nice bow on this discussion today, I'd like to ask both of you, if there's one thing that you hope people take away from this webinar, what would that be?
I would say, well, go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm allowed to say 4 key things again.
Pity it wasn't yesterday on Valentine's Day. So what's your Valentine wish for the platform?
My Valentine's wish for the platform, it's, I'm afraid I can't say it enough times. It's just, it's not about, I mean, the specific features are really great and some of them you won't find anywhere else, but it's not about the specific features. It's about the range of built-in content. It's about the flexibility, both for the trader and for the brokerage. It's about the fact, you can add new things into this platform which don't currently exist. And it's about the ability to share content, whether that's through some organized central route or it's just, one person sending, something they like to another person. Mm-hmm. I realise I said that 17 times in the course of the video, but thanks for the opportunity, Rachel. I'm saying it again.
Of course, anytime.
It's always interesting, Jonathan. And I would say that, like any business, we've learned a lot over the last 11 years directly from banks and brokers. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've done fantastic stuff and stuff that hasn't worked well. And I think this platform is really the culmination of that learning curve, both in terms of what brokers and traders want, and also in terms of what works and how to make it work in an optimal manner. And flexibility here, flexibility and low cost are the keys here.
Well, John and Jonathan, thank you both so much for your time. I've truly enjoyed getting to know you a little bit and learning a lot about Figaro. And to our audience, thank you all for tuning in to this webinar today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your days and make sure to share this on social media. Thanks, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. It's great.